Even though I had to-
That was last month, that you did.
Right, Pittsburgh property like that. University.
It is. And last month was a short month.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the City of Kingston Planning Board meeting. My name is Suzanne Cahill. I'm the Planning Director for the City of Kingston. Tonight is March 17th. It is 6 o'clock. I just have a few quick announcements before we begin the official meeting. If you do have a cell phone, I just ask that you please put it on silent so that it does not interfere with our meeting. Also, if you do have any conversations amongst yourselves that are not with the planning board, we do ask that you take them outside of the room, take them into the chamber, or there is another conference room on the opposite side of the chambers as well. If there is an emergency, we do ask that you do not use the elevator. Please use the stairs. If you need assistance, you can ask us and we'll help you. Men's room is outside, is through the council chambers. Men's is to the left and women's to the right. I also want everybody to understand that the meeting is being recorded and it is also being live streamed. So just be aware of that with your comments. With that, I'm going to turn the meeting over to Chairman Platt to introduce board members and other staff.
All right, thank you, Sue. Introduction of board members. My name is Wayne Platt. We also have Charles Polacco, Robert Jacobson, Matt Gillis, Vince Archer, Sage Newkirk, and Kyra Grundy. Item number 1 on the agenda. Oh, Jesus. Yeah. I usually underline. All right, we do have Suzanne Cahill, our planning director. Kyla Dede is the assistant planner. Matthew Jankowski is assistant corporation counsel. Alderman Sarah Paskey is the common council liaison to the planning. Apologize. All right, item number 1 is the adoption of the February 18th, 2025 planning board meeting minutes. Everybody's had an opportunity to take a look at them. Any questions, concerns, deletions, additions on them? Seeing none, I'll make a motion that we adopt those minutes. Do I have a second? Second by Charles Polacco. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. So that's carried. We're going to go into public hearings now. We have a series of items here that are just public hearings, and they'll be going into the hopper for staff on their August meeting. So item number 2 is 85 Beale Street. It's a special permit renewal. Hearing only to operate a 5-room bed and breakfast. Section block and lot is 56.43-2-20. Transect zone is T5 and Ward 8, 85-87 Beale Street. LLC, in parentheses, Jesse Halliburton is the applicant and owner. Anybody besides the applicant owner wishing to speak on item number 2? Seeing none, I'll make a motion that we close the public hearing on item number 2. Second by Matt Gillis. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. We're not doing secret on this stuff.
This is
Just
just,
a question in the notes, you talked about term. What have we done in the past on these?
this term, last time, I believe this was a 1 year because it was an initial.
Does that get taken up by us now? that term, or does that handle it in your?
It's
No.
issued by them, but they were asking us.
You can recommend a term, like,
Okay,
so,
Would
there
you
have been no issues.
put it up and operational?
Mhm.
I mean, I think last time we didn't, we just, as long as we're changing ownership, we were good, just that move forward.
You can do that, or you can do 3-year, 5-year, 5-year might be a good one. It's in the rundown, I mean,
5 years?
5-year might be a good
I
record.
think we-
everybody's good with that? Okay, so on the question, Robert Jacobson recommends a 5-year term for item number 2. Am I doing that? Motion and
That's
that with a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried.
I think we have to vote on that, though, right? Because that's really up to staff.
Well, then when it comes around to staff the next time.
It's a recommendation.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if we move forward.
It's fine to vote on it.
And do I still have to vote to close the public hearing on that?
Yeah, you did, that was part of it.
Okay, I thought we had, okay, so the part of the amendment plus, yeah, okay, good. Here's your item number 1. All right. Item number 3 is 70 West Union Street, special permit renewal, hearing only to operate a 3-room bed and breakfast. Section block and lot is 56.43-2-10. Seeker determination, transect zone T5N, Ward 8, 85. Hold on now. What do we got? That's a typo there. Are they the same owners? Are they the same owners? Okay. 85 dash, I'm looking at the west, it's on the other street. 85-87 of Beale Street, LLC, in parens, Jesse Halliburton is the applicant owner. Anybody besides the applicant owner wishing to speak on item number 3?
Are we doing the same thing in term?
I would,
I think I'm good.
5 year, good for this one, too? Any other questions? All right, so I'll make a motion that we close the public hearing on item number 3 with a term of 5 years. Second on that, Robert Jacobson. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Careful, this it might be a little bit wet. I assume. Okay, might be. Okay. Item number 4. I'm gonna kill DHL.
just to explain that there is no public hearings, it's because there are no changes, just so we can.
For the public? Okay. So for the public here that is wondering why we're just going through the motions here of identifying these items for public hearing and not doing anything else, just closing the public hearing. You have the other board.
Under the new zoning code, the form-based code, when special permit renewals come up, they still do require a public hearing. However, if there are no changes, it's an administrative review. So what is typically happening is the board is holding the public hearings, and when we administratively do the renewal, we're going to be setting the renewal date to coincide with an August timeframe. August is a month that the planning board does not meet regularly, so staff will conduct one large public hearing with all of the special permit renewals that are coming up at that point in time. So you'll no longer see them here. We'll do them administratively as a hearing in August. But until that happens, this is the way we're just addressing them as they come due.
Thank you. Okay, item number 4 is 29 Wood Street. It's a special permit renewal, hearing only to operate a cultural institution for the arts. Section block and lot is 56.42-8-26. Transect zone is T4N, Ward 8, Tempo Arts, also known as Kingston Music Initiative, is the applicant. The Ashokan Foundation is the owner. Anybody besides the owners or applicants wishing to speak on item number 4? Okay, same thing, or
Do we need a term? Has this had a term in the past?
It's not operational yet.
I'm sorry?
Determine.
They are not operational yet, no. Well, they do, actually, I take that back. They have had some concerts there, but they are still working on renovations and restorations.
This is the church. This is the
Yeah,
church.
yes, this is the church.
We've had no issue with, no.
No.
Recommend five.
No issues,
We're doing 5?
5 years.
Okay. So we have recommendation to have a term for this item to be 5 years. Everybody is good with that? Okay, this time I'll make a motion that we close the public hearing on item number 4 and a term of 5 years. For the second by Matt Gillis. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Okay, item number 5 is One Boulevard, special permit renewal to install a cellular antenna on the rooftop of an existing Stewart shop, section block and lot is 56.124-5-23. Seeker determination, Transect T4N-O, Ward 5, Cellco Partnership doing business as Verizon Wireless is the applicant. Stewart's Shops Corporation is the owner. Anybody besides the owner or applicant wishing to speak on item number 5? Okay, seeing nobody, Sue, no changes to this one with the
No
the
changes.
installation?
These have been up for quite some time, haven't they?
Yes.
So I don't really know that do we need a term only because a lot of times they end up coming back with technology changes and that's when they have to.
We probably should, neither because we're gonna come up on something, a couple items ahead that is gonna
Fire term.
illustrate that, highlight that.
All right, so then we want to do 5.
5.
Or actually, I think you mentioned something about a lease, which is basically 5 years out. July 2040.
This will be the third 5 year.
Current lease expires in July of 2040 or 25, so we want to keep doing 5 every year.
Yeah, I would do that.
All right.
5 year, okay, we're gonna do the 5 year with that one? Okay. This time I'll make a motion that we close the public hearing on item number 5 with a term of 5 years for the renewal. Okay. Who's got a second? Matt Gillis with a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried?
Morning.
Yes.
Jessica Halliburton is here for item number 1 2. Does he need to stay? Because we've already gone through the items. So we need to stay for the.
Okay.
Item 1 and 2, start speaking.
We're done with 1 and 2, right?
Yeah. So Jessica Halliburton is here for.
Mr. Guys.
Oh,
But he
Yeah.
doesn't
okay,
need
they've
to.
been approved for, recommended for renewal. No one spoke at any either of the hearings. This board is recommending that we get renewed for 5 years. So we'll do the administrative review now, and you'll be hearing from our office on the renewal.
So you will have to come back to this board.
Okay.
To see something, right?
All right, well, maybe in the future we'll have something.
Well, they,
Come back.
yeah, we'll be happy to see you with that, so.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it.
You can,
Yeah, I like
Okay.
this.
well, and thank you for that.
Yeah.
Item number 6 is 420 Albany Avenue, special permit renewal to install a cellular antenna on the rooftop of an existing Stewart shop. Section block and lot is 48.302-3-8.100. Seeker determination, Transect Zone T4N-O, Ward 6, Cellco Partnership doing business as Verizon Wireless is the applicant. Again, Stewart's Shop Corporation is the owner. Anybody besides the owner or applicant wishing to speak on item number 6?
Same recommendation, 5 years.
Okay, everybody's doing the 5 year on that? Okay. This time I'll make a motion that we close the public hearing on item number 6 with a 5-year term for the renewal. Chuck Palaka with a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. All right, item number 7 is 449 Broadway, special permit renewal for 6 cellular antennas. Section block and lot is 56.26-10-61. Seeker determination, Transect Zone T5MS, Ward 5, Verizon Wireless is the applicant. Verizon New York is the owner. Anybody besides? But,
Notes say 12, you said 6.
oh, I'm reading on my old, this is gonna be for 12. The original was for 6, so I printed out an older.
Make sure we're correct.
Yeah, I printed out the one from Donna. I didn't get print out the updated.
Well, things change.
Yeah, all right, so that'll be for 12 antennas. Anybody besides the applicant or owner wishing to speak on item number 7? Okay, so this one, we do have some changes with this one. That's gonna, looks like we're gonna warrant having them come to our next meeting. Is that the?
That one?
So there were no changes to that one, but it's the same number of antennas?
Right, well, I had spoken, you're Scott?
I'm awesome, but I've worked with Scott.
Okay, all right. So I had spoken with another representative of Verizon about another project, because I did have some questions with regard to the materials on this one that were submitted. The drawings that we received were dated 2022. And in 22, on those plans, it showed that new antennas were being added. And that's between our last renewal and this renewal
Right.
application. So I wanted to have an accurate plan of physically what is actually located on the structure itself.
Yes.
And I spoken to Brendan from Verizon, he was gonna get me that, along with an updated structural assessment of the building to confirm that what is actually in place can be structurally supported by the building itself, the infrastructure, because the last one we have on record is 2010. And a lot of equipment has been added to that tower since then. So he was gonna give me an updated structural report as well. The other question is that there are other than Verizon, there's other carriers that are co-locating, which we promote. It's good, it's a good idea to do that. But we want to clearly identify who is on that tower and what they have.
And so did he give you that? or-
I haven't received anything from him yet.
Cause I talked to Scott today and he said there was no changes with the 449 line from the original, or from that 5 years ago to now. So-
Well, I need to get that
Yeah.
confirmed, and the gentleman from Verizon was going to get that for
Okay.
me, and I have not received it yet.
Okay, so I'll touch base with Scott. and
Okay.
Brendan on that.
Okay,
Is this getting tabled?
Yeah, we're gonna table this, and they'll just come back to the next month's meeting to
Yeah,
this information. then.
Okay.
he had thought he could get it to me by the beginning of, or the end of last week, and I didn't get it yet.
Okay. I'll touch base.
Okay, thank
Because
you.
he said let's table it for now.
Right,
Next month.
right, and I think we can close the public hearing.
Yeah, we'll close the public hearing. And just for my clarification, there's the original approval was for 6, but now it's at 12. right? So that's
Correct.
why we're needing additional.
But there's another carrier in addition to Verizon on the tower also.
Okay.
So we just want to identify who is there, what equipment they have,
Okay.
and that the structure has the
That's it.
agility to support it.
All right. All right, so any other questions? All right, so at this time, I'll make a motion that we table item number 7 and close the public hearing on it as well. I have a second on that. Robert Jacobson with a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Okay. Item number 8. Uh, 218 through 220 and 224 Foxhole Avenue. It's a special permit amendment to expand eating/drinking establishment with alcohol service to include an outdoor area. Section block and lot is 48.82-4-67 and 48.82-4-1. Secret determination zone T4N-0, Ward 6, Francesca Hoffman, in parentheses, Unicorn Bar LLC is the applicant. Gayula LLC is the owner. Is there anybody besides the owner or applicant wishing to speak on item number 8? Ready?
That's me.
Yeah, you want to come up? Yeah, welcome. Have I pronounced all that right? Gulaya, is it?
That's Gonzalez.
Okay,
Gulaya.
all right. State your name for the record, please.
My name is Francesca Hoffman.
Okay. All right, so, how's business there? Good?
Very good.
Good.
Yeah.
So it must be good. You want to expand a little bit to put some.
Yeah,
So
the outside space was zoned in.
We got a picture up here behind you too, so.
It was zoned in with the liquor license, but I think it was after this meeting happened, so this is, I guess, a formality to just make sure it's included.
So one question we do have is that is a separate parcel of land than the actual structure sits on. But you lease both parcels?
Correct.
Okay, so you have two separate leases, or is it one,
It's one,
it's one lease?
yeah, it's a joint parcel that the owner owns.
Okay, and so your liquor license extends to this outdoor area as well? Okay. Can you submit a copy of that to us?
Of the liquor license?
Yes, please. Okay.
Do you need language? Because of two different parcels, like,
No, you should just be able to supply you with a copy of the.
Yeah, okay, so a copy of your lease too then, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
when is this, you're looking to start as soon as possible with this one? I mean, the weather is getting nice, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. And hours of operation will still be,
5 to midnight. They might say 4 from last year, but we adjusted to 5. It's 5 to midnight on Fridays and Saturdays.
is that from Wednesday to Sunday still?
4 to 11 on Wednesday, Thursday, and then Sundays vary, but we close by 9.
Okay.
Is the outdoor gonna operate the same hours as the indoor, or will that be on a limited time?
I asked people to vacate the outdoor space by 11.
Okay.
And it's gonna be illuminated with like Edison string lights, is that what you're planning on doing there?
Yeah, there's a string, maybe not in this picture. There are string lights. Yeah.
Okay, up high, or is it like the?
Yeah, it's from the tree
Okay.
around and then it goes on both sides.
Nice.
And how do the customers get to the outdoor area? I was not clear on that. Is there a side entrance from the building? Is there a door, or do they come from the public sidewalk and then go in?
The liquor authority requires that there's a door it's within the premises to get to the outside
Okay.
space. So there's a side door from our lounge room that goes right. to the
Okay,
outside.
all right, so, all right.
They're not going around.
Okay, thank
So-
you.
If you're doing that, I'm coming to you.
So all of the drinks, the food and what have you will be prepared inside and then people can come out? There's not gonna be like an outdoor
No.
bar area or anything?
No,
like
it's
that?
really just a place for people to sit outside. That's it. Very simple.
And just so you're aware, our code prohibits the outdoor music.
Yeah, we don't do that. outside.
Okay, all right.
I assume is there smoking allowed outside or no smoking? or-
We do have cigarettes. We have ashtrays outside that our bar backs clean regularly,
Okay,
and we monitor the lawn.
do you have any like the containers, like cigarette containers that you can throw in, or
Just standard
just
ashtrays.
standard ashtrays?
I'm not sure I know what.
Like instead of throwing a butt on the ground, sometimes they have the ones where you
It's like a tube that comes up.
when you stick it in, it just goes out so you don't have fires and things.
Oh,
Like sometimes they're like
no,
doors before you come in.
we don't have that. We just have standard ashtrays
Okay,
on the picnic tables.
okay. Just keep an eye just for fire.
Oh, of
purposes
course.
That they're not,
That's the last thing I want.
Yeah.
The community's been really respectful and appreciative of the space, so everybody kind of goes the extra mile to take care of it, I found.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
And it says here you have screening by a rope hedge. Is any additional screening you got planned to go up with fences or anything like that, or?
No, this was just what the liquor authority required.
Okay,
I'm not looking to do any additional renovations or spend more money at
okay.
this point. Trying to pay everybody back.
Yeah. Any other questions?
It's similarly set up like this when it was a Beverly, correct?
Did they have outdoor when it was the Beverly? I don't know if they had outdoor stuff.
I think only in the pandemic,
Uh, um, uh, Yeah,
not prior to that, so far as I know.
Does this have a term associated with it at all?
Sorry?
Is this gonna have a term associated with it all?
Yeah, you will set a term.
And is this for just the outside?
No, for the inside too. The original special permit only covered the building, the structure itself. At that time, she did not have the outdoor area planned. So now that she's coming back, her term is expiring, so she's renewing the permit and she's expanding at the same time. So
Gotcha.
it'll all be one special permit.
Okay.
What are you recommending for term?
You know, we did check with the police department. There's very minimal, one or two, calls, nothing significant. So I would recommend you could go with a longer period. You originally issued it for only 1 year. I would, go with a 3-year. That would be my recommendation, just given the nature of, it's a bar.
Number 3, everybody? Yeah. Okay.
So if there's an issue.
Yes, so so when this one renews, the term will expire with an August, a 3-year, with an August expiration.
Are these terms revocable though? I guess my question is, well, I'm not worried about the bar on the inside, it's more the outside. So if all of a sudden it's loud and noisy and issues over the summer and police calls from neighbors.
Well, the
what-
city has a noise ordinance,
Okay.
so they will have to comply with the parameters that are outlined under the noise ordinance. Obviously the police can be called by neighbors if there's other issues, disturbance, whether it's, whatever, but.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I'm not worried about the bar, just a new use, so usually we do it for a year.
If they are not in compliance with the special permit, and, the noise ordinance is one of the typical conditions that we attach.
These are all
to
hypotheticals, I'm
all,
sure you.
Oh, sure, I'm just listening,
if they're not in non-compliance, then we can.
Okay, so as long as it's.
Yeah.
That's
So you would go with your same
Everybody's good
board
with 3?
policies.
Are there any other questions? All right, so under seeker, it's a type 2 action, so no further review of the board is required for that. You don't have too much on
Okay,
your
yeah,
list.
so you're going to approve the amendment to the original special permit carrying forth all the original board policies as were applied. The expansion will have the same hours as the inside. They will submit to planning staff a copy of their liquor license and a copy of the lease agreement to verify both properties are under lease terms. There will be no outdoor music or loudspeakers allowed, and it's a 3-year term to expire in an August month. So
And when was her original permit scheduled to expire? So we're good with time.
this
This
will
good- this-
coincide,
okay.
yes, this will be one permit now.
Okay. All right, so how Sue has described it, I'll formulate that into a motion to approve it. Item number 8. Matt Jankowski is right, everybody. Matt Gillis with a second on that. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. All right, thank you. Okay. I have to recuse for this
Yes,
business.
so Matt is recusing on this because
Business relations.
business related. Thank you.
So say you do that.
You got it.
All right, item number 9 is a 105 Marys Avenue. Special permit for a telecommunication facility, section block and lot is 56.41-3-1.110. Secret determination, transect zone SD-I, Ward 9. Aerosmith Development applicant is the applicant, Benedictine Hospital is the owner. Anybody besides the owner or applicant wishing to speak on item number 9? Okay, nobody's here to do that.
Yes.
We're gonna go, we're gonna bring you up. I didn't think that's moving for you to talk about it, just moving back. Public hearing. Welcome.
Good evening,
Can you state your name for the record, please?
Maggie Stevens, with
Okay.
Harrison.
Some picture here somewhere.
I can if you want, I wasn't, you have the.
We got it also.
I have plans too, if anyone wants.
Okay. All right, so go ahead with the proposal here.
All right, I'm with Harrison Development on behalf of AT&T. We are a consultant for them. AT&T has submitted the upgrade application under 6409 for this upgrade. The proposed scope of work includes to add 3 antennas to 3 existing sectors on an existing rooftop. They are also adding 3 surge suppressors, 1 in each sector, and then 3 additional power cables. They are also modifying existing equipment within their equipment shelter on the roof. And that's it.
And what building is it going on?
It's the southeastern building in the
So
medical
they're,
facility.
The building behind the yard, right? The tall one?
Yes, yeah, we originally, the plan originally showed it at the corner of Webster Street and Mary's Avenue. And so we reached out and we asked them to just please verify, it's in the central area of the
Yeah, the
whole
center.
campus. They're totally not visible from.
Yep.
Yeah, it's. So
Yeah, the site
I was
plan
putting
was a little off.
The updated plan, the map to show where they are. Yeah, there's no issue really with these at all.
And this has been a pre-existing tower
It's-
structure, they're just upgrading new equipment, right?
Right, they're adding some new equipment and upgrading.
Normal.
Mm-hmm, yeah. Yeah, they've submitted all the documentation.
At what point do you start to ask like questions about like the weight on like the load and adding any additional load to a roof? Is there a certain like amount that each is like exceeding or?
Well,
if you
that's
say
all done at building safety.
building safety?
Right.
When they're applying for the building to do this.
Okay,
And these are existing rooftop, if you look like they're spread out across the roof.
yeah,
The other one that we were asking is an actual giant tower that sits on the roof,
so
and they were adding more
Just
equipment on
radiation.
top of the tower.
okay, got
So
it.
it was more of a center point.
They
This is
still
spread out.
demonstrate though that the structural capacity is there in the plan sets, so they still document that.
Okay,
That's what Sue was asking for them next month to get her that plan set within this particular application has.
We've done the 5 years with other, just how we were recommending for this, 5 years.
I don't even think it needs a term, it's not just if they upgrade the equipment, they come back. I don't really know.
I'm fine with that.
In the hospital, they're here all the time for stuff, so. I don't know.
Everybody good with that? That's good. So we'll give an unlimited term, and like Robert said, if equipment changes, or you're adding or taking away things, or ownership changes, whatever, then we would ask you to, your company to come back and
I'm sure.
sit before the board. Right? I know you really want to come back and see it. Let me see here. This
So
is,
if the ownership changes, if there's upgrades or changes, what about if the carrier changes?
yeah, I'll let you say. Yes,
I mean, Sue, in the other,
secret stuff here. You can just hand me a piece of paper and
Sue, is this particular application any different than the ones on all the Stewart properties that we did buy?
This one?
Yeah. Should we just do the 5 because they can do the other one?
Are you leasing?
We have a lease with the building owner, yeah. AT&T does.
What is the term of the lease?
They lease in, typically, they start off 20 years and then there's 5 additional 5-year terms. So I'm not sure on the exact expiration of this
Okay.
lease, but it's not within the next 5 years.
I think, to be fair to the other applicants, that we are, probably should be 5 years.
Okay.
Okay.
And that way you also have to check as to what's going on the roof.
Okay. And this will come back to staff this year because it's actually an upgrade and a change as well.
Correct.
Okay, so probably only 5-year term. Wait,
Okay, And what was that discussion about?
That's consistent with the other Stewart cellular antenna, so everyone's on an equal playing field.
Okay. And everybody's good with 5 year then, right? Okay. All right, so any other questions? So under seeker, this is an unlisted action. I have before me a short environmental assessment form that staff has indicated is in order. This time I'll make a motion that we approve it. Do I have a second? Second by Robert Jacobson. Wayne Platt is a yes. Charles Palaco,
Yes.
Robert Jacobson.
Yes.
Vince Archer,
Yes.
Sage Newkirk.
Yes.
That is passed. Let me sign this and just give it over to you. There we go, back. Over here. Thank you. Okay. So I'll make a motion that we approve item number 9 for a period of 5 years with what conditions on there? You probably already went over it, didn't you?
Yeah, well, board policy 6, and if there's any changes either in upgrading, ownership or carrier, they must return sooner.
A second on that? Seconded by Vince Archer. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you so much.
Awesome, thank you.
Have a good evening. All right, item number 10 is 514-520 and 522-528 First Avenue. It's a lot line deletion of the lands of the city of Kingston. Section block and lot is 48.16-5-11 and 48.16-5-20. Determination, transect zone T3L, Ward 8, City of Kingston. As the applicant owner, anybody besides the applicant owner wishing to speak on item number 10? Okay. Who's our representative for this? We just going to do it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll go present.
We'll wait for, is Matt coming back in?
I don't know
He
where
was
Matt
walking
is.
back and forth right
Yeah,
there.
no, I'm just putting this up so you can talk about it.
He wasn't in chambers. I called his name, so.
Drag us right in,
Um,
Sign that one, please. This one's good.
Okay.
All right. Matt Gillis is back. We're now at item number 10. All right, so what are the plans for this? So we're gonna have a solar,
Right, ultimately, the city is going to be looking at this as a solar field. The applicant, or Julie Noble, will be back in front of the board with a special permit when that plan is actually designed. This is only to combine 2 adjacent parcels, which have been surveyed out, remove the lot line between the 2, and just combine them into one parcel.
Shouldn't that be done with the solar special permit? Because if the solar special permit's not approved, now they've got 1 lot instead of 2.
I mean,
I'm just
it
asking.
could be, I mean, this is step 1 is to combine the parcels, but the solar permit will be coming to you. You'll be,
It's just normal that a lot of times when we've seen this in the past, they do it all at once, so we kind of contextually can see before we join what the actual.
right, site plan is not completed yet, so they just felt that we would move it forward and do the lot line revision so that they can design the
Who's
plan.
the solar benefiting? Is it for city infrastructure or is it going out to?
I believe it's gonna be city,
For city buildings?
I don't, you mean city constructed?
No, I mean,
We'll
solar.
sell the power back to
There's
the
a power
offset.
grid
Yeah, I
offset
believe
city
it's a
utilities,
city project, yes.
so it's for city buildings, not like a farm that's gonna be bought into. So, and I just had the question, because I just looked at the application, this is in a residential, pre-residential area with a house across the street. I know the city has had, we have a housing issue. Why are 2 residential lots being used for a solar farm instead of housing?
Well, I mean, I believe it also fulfills a goal of the city for, energy, and just the climate smart goals to try and provide alternative sources of energy for the community.
I know, but the city has, city buildings and other city properties like transfer station stuff where they could certainly put solar and squeeze solar
And I
inverters.
believe they are looking at solar installations on other city properties as well. There are properties that DPW owns, and uses that they're looking at. This just happens to be a parcel or parcels of land that are not by themselves sized sufficiently. So the city does own both the properties right now.
Correct. Again, it's in a residential area. Typically, the solar farms that you see are usually not traditionally around houses. They're more in like an industrial area or commercial area. I looked online that there's literally a residential house right across the
It's
street.
an allowed use by special permit.
Is there something unique about this particular project that it has to be on a vacant land space versus the top of like a building or rooftop? Like,
That's the problem. I don't have a plan, so I don't exactly know what it's gonna look like.
Well, you will when it comes for the special permit. I mean, they will be coming with a site plan, a design for the installation when they come forward with a special use permit.
No, I get it. I just would be more comfortable seeing that versus just, I don't know. I don't know what other people think, but I just hear
Maybe
housing,
does
housing,
the
housing.
vendor need to have this size lot to even start the process to
Well, it's a city
install?
project.
Right now, it's just being used as like, looks like a dump.
It's just
for
a vacant.
Wood chips and stuff.
Was this in red properties?
On the other side.
I know.
There's right there.
There's a house right there. It's a residential area. I just don't notice.
Well, we'll have questions for Julie when she comes to the next.
Well, I'm just trying to understand why this is being used for solar versus housing. We have a housing crunch and we're in a residential area that's pretty predominantly residential. You got houses all around it. I don't know.
if this is just to combine the lots,
Yes.
Yeah, that's all you
then
have.
what is if the 2 lots are combined, does that put anything at an advantage or disadvantage to the property? Being that it's in a residential neighborhood, does it
No.
change what could possibly happen with the property in the future?
Well, then you'd be down to one house unless you then came back and did another subdivision.
Not
again.
necessarily. No, it's,
What zone are we in?
this is a T3L.
So you could have like a multiplex or something.
I don't know, you can have
I'm just trying to understand like what the other uses are.
for T3L.
Yeah, just, versus a solar farm. I think of all the rooftops that we can satisfy solar to use the whole piece of property for it. Versus only on the property.
Well,
What about the industrial?
obviously housing is allowed, accessory dwellings, lodging or bed and breakfast,
How wide is each lot separately?
emergency shelters, residential care facilities.
Each lot's 100?
All right,
I'm sorry, so you, yeah, I apologize, what did you say?
So, what I was saying was just going down for the T3Ls, the uses. Education, could be a parking lot, parks, places of worship, public safety, public utilities are allowed special permit. Civic use with a footprint greater than 6,000 square feet.
And I just think I'd like to
Agriculture.
see a plan. I mean, maybe we could do this all at once, two votes versus.
Well,
separate-
renewable
separate.
energy is another goal of the city, so it's a way of, every property, is not necessarily going to be utilized for housing, so, I mean, there are multiple goals of the city. And renewable energy is one of them, and this is fulfilling that need.
Can I speak on something too? I mean, long before this was surveyed by them, this was surveyed by myself. That was a swamp in 2004 or 5, which was most likely illegally filled prior to the city taking title. So in order to put some type of residential use in there, you would be taking out the current material and bringing in a whole lot of other type of material. There would be not a chance of getting a foundation below the fill that is in there, which is mainly wood chips, stumps and logs, as we know it was previously owned by a logger, probably prior to the city owning it. In all reality, I don't see how anything could potentially sit on top of those wood chips, as that was most likely a designated wetland prior to the city taking title to it. It is a very swampy, black, muddy material below the wood chips.
Good like that, yeah. Those kept burning stuff in there. These are questions.
I just-
No, it's good.
Normally, a lot of times when we do a lot of land revisions, it's because there's a plan attached. Hello.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions? All right, looking for assistant, type 2, okay, last page there. All right, so under seeker, this is a type 2 action, so no further review of the board is required for this, line revision. So this time, I will make a motion that we approve item number 10 with board policy 6, written descriptions, have the copies and the Mylar. What else we got?
Signatures.
And signatures. Okay, that's a motion. Do I have a second on that? Second by Vince Archer. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carry. Okay, moving on to item number 11, is 21 Bluestone Court. Subdivision of the lands of SSLI Holdings LLC for the creation of a walkable neighborhood plan. With a minor waiver for a dead-end street. Secret determination, section block and lot is 56.88-4-7, transect zone SD-MF, large site standards in Ward 1. SSLI Holdings LLC is the applicant owner. I do have somebody signed up to,
I'm recusing myself.
Robert is recusing
Okay.
himself.
Have a good night.
okay, yeah, you're done.
Okay.
Oh, I might have something else.
Thank you, guys.
All right, so Sage, you're back in again.
Okay.
I do have, Sandy Herna, yeah. She has signed up to be one of the speakers for the public hearing.
No,
And Ms.
that's
Herna,
it.
you're from 21 Bluestone Court? Are you from?
I'm from 21 Bluestone.
Okay.
That's not her address.
Oh, what is your address? I'm sorry.
258 New Gazette.
258 Lucas.
Thank you.
Okay, welcome.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I just said I live at 258 Lucas. The rear of my property abuts the proposed development. I just have a few questions and then a comment I'd like. So there seems to be some changes in types of housing proposed that was originally proposed. And I bring this up because the newest site map seems to indicate 7 duplexes and 8 SMPs, which are small multiplexes, which are triplexes and fourplexes, I understand. Very different from what was first proposed. Because in October of the last meeting, it was specifically asked I think Suzanne asked the developers, what types of housing do you see? And they said, single-family homes and duplexes, and they referenced Lounsbury Place. Also in the newspaper, in the Freeman in October, they said they envisioned duplexes and single-family homes. And now it seems it's multiplexes and duplexes. And so that brings a lot of questions to the forefront. If that is the case, are there limitations to how many of each kind? There are no covenants, it was mentioned in the October meeting, so what does that mean and look like? I assume they're the listing agents. How are they going to plan to market these? Are they marketed as duplexes, triplexes? Are there any single families mentioned? I would assume plans have to be approved since there's no covenants. I have questions about parking. I'm not sure about parking requirements. The T3N code, which is what this development is under, states that primary characteristics for side or rear parking, which is what it is at Lounsbury Place, rear parking. However, thinking as to if they're duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes, it could be parking for 40 to 60 cars, depending how many people. That's a lot in these small lots. And if there isn't any parking requirements and they can park on the street, which it seems to indicate that's pretty explicit on the site plan, parking, how does that work in some emergencies? How does this work in general to fit that many cars? On top of that, the safety concerns. We've always had safety concerns about coming out of Bluestone Court. So this brings that into the forefront again. If there's 40, 50, 60 cars exiting Bluestone, not at the same time, obviously, but at different points, that impacts a difficult situation. Now, we have families in the back of Bluestone who every day walk their kids to school and try to cross Lucas Ave. And if there's cars coming out of Bluestone, turning right, turning left, that just adds another whole dimension to people trying to cross there. And the last thing really pertains to me. I have a comment I'd like to make. So, as I mentioned, my rear property line is 150 feet across and abuts the development. If I'm correct, the road proposed is 9 feet off of my entire backyard, which is not very much. And I think that's because while it's my rear yard, the site of the development makes it my side yard. So it's giving me like a third side yard because I have 2 side yards. And my backyard there, interpreting as a side yard because of the juxtaposition of the development. I will say and it was 12.5 feet setback, and then it got changed to 9 feet setback. The previous plan, when there were 46 apartments, they had landscaping proposed all along Bluestone Court and the rear of my property. I realize this parcel is being developed differently now. And I understand that landscaping is the responsibility of the homeowners. However, what hasn't changed is the impact on my home. I'm still impacted the same way I was when it was 46 apartments. So I feel the original proposed landscaping for my project should be kept. Because I already have a right side property with the road. I have the left side of my property as a service road. And now I have 150 feet, my whole backyard, with the road 9 feet off. And so I just wanted to put that out there. And I'll end by saying I understand development brings change, but I think it works better for everybody if the big picture is taken into consideration, especially as it impacts existing homeowners. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
And we had some other commentary submitted as well.
Yes, Alderwoman Passy, you want to speak?
Wait, we have some other.
Oh, okay.
residents
Yeah,
who
no,
are here who would like to speak.
Oh, no, I don't think they're signed up.
No, but they
You don't
can
have
still
to,
speak.
you don't have to be
Yeah,
signed up.
you don't have to be signed up to speak.
You don't want to? We're not closing the public hearing today. So there'll be more information coming out. So, next month, if you hear from you feel comfortable to want to come up and speak at that point, you can certainly come and do that then, all right? So that's up to you.
Thank you, just observing.
And just
Hello,
also,
everyone.
there's also, the board has also received written comments, which have come from the CAC, as well as another private party, Tanya Garment, submitted a written comment in addition to what Alderwoman Paskey, has submitted.
Right, I mean, I actually talked to the neighbors in Bluestone Court, and they had some questions, but the questions were based on a plan that was single-family homes with duplexes. So this change to the plan to duplexes and multiplexes is something that I know will be very concerning to them because of the safety issues that were just mentioned here. This is a neighborhood with children, there are narrow streets, there are no sidewalks. Originally, the first iteration of the plan had some sidewalks when it was a walkable neighborhood with single-family homes and duplexes. Those were removed because the street was widened, but still, with 15 lots, the neighbors felt that it was in context with all of the surrounding neighborhoods. Now, this is bringing in a density that is going to have a real impact, and I deal with the density impact, I would say, every single week in Ward 1, because the neighborhoods are small residential neighborhoods with narrow streets and no sidewalks. And so there's, for kids trying to go to school who have to walk to Edson and Bailey School, their parents are walking in, they're walking in the street because there's nowhere else to walk. And we have issues constantly with parents dropping their kids off, cars, it's two-way streets, cars going back and forth. And there have been some near misses. Sometimes kids have to leap out of the street to get out of the ways of cars. And so I'm very concerned about the increase in density and the number of cars, the fact that they'll be parked on the street, that there still aren't, that there aren't sidewalks, and also having that volume of traffic come into a tiny cul-de-sac rather than going onto the main street is what is really a concern. I mean, if this were a development that opened out onto a main thoroughfare, that would be one thing. So having a flow of cars would be more understandable than having the cars come out of the development and into a tiny cul-de-sac where cars will presumably back up if it's a morning rush hour or coming home. And when during school pickup and drop off, there are already a lot of cars. I mean, I just see this as being very negatively impacting the neighbors. And I know that some of them who couldn't be here tonight because the change had taken place fairly quickly, they would like to come and talk. So I would ask that the public hearing be extended so there can be additional comments that will come from neighbors.
That's our plan.
Okay, so I just wanted to confirm that because I know that people will have things that they want to say. And I'm here trying to speak on their behalf because I think everybody was very pleased when they thought that it would be 15 buildable lots with single family homes and some duplexes. People were very excited about that. This is a complete reversal of what they were originally, what I told them and what I believed. And so I think it definitely deserves a lot more study. So that's it for now.
All right. Thank you. Amy, you want to? You're allowed to. What?
I have nothing prepared because to be fair, haven't seen, but my older woman and I live 3 houses down from.
And let the record show Amy Peterson's here. What's your address, Amy?
230 Lucas Avenue.
Okay. Thank you. Go ahead.
So I'm 3 parcels down and we have flooding in our backyard. So I know that I had spoken with the planning department a couple of years ago. And they assured me that there was going to be bioswales and a lot of flooding mitigation. I still have concerns with a project of this magnitude. I think it's too large for that parcel. And I totally concur. I completely understand. I feel so bad for Sandy, what this could do to her backyard and to everybody who lives on Bluestone. Coming, 60 cars potentially coming onto Bluestone is problematic, but I have a hard time pulling out of my driveway on Lucas Avenue. So 60 cars, I don't know if anybody's ever done a traffic count, but 60 cars additionally coming out onto Lucas Avenue is also problematic. I was really psyched when Sarah told me that they were going to be single-family homes and a couple of duplexes. I don't know what the combination was. But I am surprised as anybody to hear tonight that once again, this is being ramped up and amped up to something that is just too large for the neighborhood, for the property, for the street, for the city. And also, has anyone considered the impact on the local schools if these are, 2-3 bedrooms and more kids? It's just too big. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
And you're welcome to speak at the next meeting too. So, all right, thank you. Is there anybody else wishing to speak? Okay. You guys want to come up? Yeah. I'll get you, you want some other people, pull some other chairs from around there too, anyway.
Yeah. How are you? Luke, do you want to plan set to start or the alternate?
I uploaded a revised progress set
Okay,
a couple hours ago, so if you can get that off the
Okay.
hub.
And Luke, you want to introduce your team here for the record?
Yes, Stefan Sanzi, Luke Interante were the owner, Cyril Interante is the architect, and Lake Interior Survey.
Thank you.
Yep.
Right, so even though we're here for subdivision, we can go into what here.
Yeah, I want to, if I may, I just want to address a couple things based on the comments. Stefan and I did have every intention of doing single-family home subdivision here. And what took place was in reviewing form-based code and having workshop meetings, it basically, without a complete rezoning, is not something that we can do. A walkable neighborhood is, that requires 2 types. So we landed here by following the form-based code and through the workshop meetings. If the board or the city says you can do a single-family home subdivision, that's what we would have done. So it's not, we're not trying to cloak and dagger this thing. That's the way the form-based code reads. So, and also initially we were then proposed, once we had 2 types, was single family and duplex, but then the form-based code requires us to label those. So upon further investigation into the code, we realized that a small multiplex is allowed. And again, it required to have 2 types. So our plan set is in progress to meet basically the letter of the law with the zoning code. Parking, no requirements, sidewalks optional, lot dimensions, all that stuff. It's all spelled out very clearly. And that's our intention. We don't want to have any waivers if we don't have to. And we feel we're on the path to solving that with the one-way turnaround with a center median for collection areas, stormwater, et cetera.
And also our goal is to develop vacant buildable lots. And within the code, you need to identify 2 types, which the 2 types are small multiplex, duplex, and single family. If you start with multiplex, you can dilute it down to a duplex or a single family, but if you could identify a single family and that homeowner that wants to buy the lot, pay the taxes on it, take care of the landscaping on their own, can't go up. So we're being pigeonholed into a lot when our goal is to create real estate for houses to be developed in the city of Kingston and to be able to give an option to the buyer or to ourselves if we're going to spec build what we could build with by right to the code.
So it sounds like a lot of the, the comments are really with the code, and we're meeting the code. And where there's options or things like that,
the code, let me ask, the code requires a minimum of 2 types. It doesn't say that you can't propose 3
right
or more. So would you consider or think about adding a detached home type to a certain percentage of the lots, possibly the ones maybe that back the Bluestone Court homes,
Yeah,
as an opportunity to create like a somewhat of a buffer, so you have single family. And single families can still have ADUs,
Right.
you know, under the code, so can duplexes. So when you're talking about, I think the thing to think about, and the board needs to think about in terms of density, is when you have a duplex, you're entitled to one ADU, but you can also approach the planning board with a major waiver request for 2 ADUs. So theoretically, a duplex could ultimately have 4 units.
mhm,
And then the issue with the small multiplex, I think in this particular project site, you can have a small multiplex with up to 4 units. However, you can increase that to 6 units under the code if 2 of them are affordable. So while a small multiplex is allowed, it can theoretically be bumped up to a 6th family. And you do have lot coverage requirements as well that will kind of guide, you know, the density. But I think the primary issue for the board to consider is what would be the maximum potential density. And there's no, you know, you as a developer might tell the board, well, I intend to, you know, do the development in this manner, but there's nothing to restrict someone else from coming in. Once that label is put on the document, nothing else to prevent another developer from coming to and saying, well, I want, you know, I'm going to do them all small multiplexes. You know, that was, you know, you put it in as a maximum, but I'm going to do it all. And that's how I'm going to do it. And I'm going to ask for, you know, 6. And so the density can be bumped up very quickly. And I think that's kind of the concerns that I'm hearing.
But if we have if we're following exactly what the new city code is, you know, all we want to do is create lots at this time, that's what we're following. We don't have a crystal ball that dictate what's going to be in the future. It's right here in hand. Luke and I want to create 15 buildable lots.
Are you considering the deed covenants too for this?
yeah, we are. So that was one of the things I wanted to get to also. Just one on the density. I mean, is there a prescribed method, or does the code speak to what that maximum number of potential units could be or should be? Or does it only speak to the 2 types for a walkable neighborhood plan? And then, yeah, we have in draft a stormwater management plan that'll go with each lot for our common stormwater areas. And then Sue and I spoke very briefly about this, or Kyla rather, that we're willing to do a deeded sort of thing if it required, you know, a driveway of a certain depth to accommodate 2 vehicles and things like that, even though parking is not required. Just any way to sort of, you know, if we have the area and we can add those features in or make them required, that it would help alleviate some of that congestion. As far as traffic studies, that was all asked and answered a long time
We
ago.
went to that with the other project.
We don't have really anything else to offer on that. And on-street parking, snowstorms, whatever, handled the same way it is throughout the city.
So you're looking to deed this street, to make it a city street, or deed it over to the
Yes.
city? So you're in consultation with John Schultz?
John, Chief Arena, yeah.
Okay, because is it the stormwater management plan that is a stickler for him? That on, what was that? There was a stickler on.
He had concerns about the annual inspections the city has to perform, so we're writing all that into our draft.
With the stormwater?
With this, all specific to the stormwater. Basically, everything he was asking us for, we're, you know.
And that's because every property owner is responsible.
Is gonna be responsible. Yeah, in this case, in our latest revision though, if you can go one sheet down to SP1, because of the dead end, you know, not wanting to have a dead end here, we have this one-way, you know, roundabout. So we've moved all the collection areas to the center median and then down to the retention pond. So it actually handles more volume now. But it's still gonna be on the property owners to collectively be bought into that via their purchase of the parcel.
And in your initial discussions with John, does he feel like comfortable that an agreement can be reached that, yes, the city would be comfortable taking over the street?
I think so. At our last meeting, he made some suggestions. We've incorporated those. This is very fresh and new, so this is in progress. We just wanted to share it for the visual aspect. But yeah, I mean, I think that we can get there with John on all this
Yeah,
stuff.
I didn't, I only had the very sketchy concept plan, early today, when I met with Chief Ray from the fire department, and he likes the idea, but he didn't have any, hard numbers or widths to
Understood.
really, weigh in on. So, my suggestion is now that we have a well-developed schematic design for this alternative, which would be a one-way kind of traffic circular pattern in and around the site, is to sit down and schedule a meeting with the chief and John Schulteis and you guys in our office and probably building department as well. And take a look at this and hammer out what, how this could work or won't work.
And then that would preclude them from having to apply for that minor waiver.
Right, so this effectively acts as the close that's required on dead ends in the new form-based code, because it has the landscape central area. And it looks like they've added some public amenities in there as well. So there's the open space and the usable open space requirement that would also come into play with this area. Have you done the calculations yet?
We're still
Or you're
working.
still working on that? Okay.
So is it your plan to do a full build out and then are you,
The plan is to do a full build out of the infrastructure,
okay,
power, water, sewer, stormwater, center area, basically get it ready 100% so it can be deeded to the city. At which point those lots will, that's far ways out. As Stefan mentioned, we don't really know what we might do. We might keep some spec build those, put them up for sale, the lots, or do a contract build. It's hard to say.
so with the spec build, you'll have at the end of this whole thing, you'll have a list of what types of houses are available to be utilized in this development.
That's all in the plan set already based on the code.
Yeah,
So
but I mean, as folks, say you're not doing a full build out, then say, okay, come on in, everybody,
No, if we were gonna build one, or if a future lot owner was gonna build one, they would go through building department for building permit.
Yeah.
Same as any other individual lot.
And to touch back on the deed covenants or deed restrictions, we've heard some people talk about what, and Sue said what might happen in the future after you guys are done, you walk away from it. Is your plan to have language in place for those things to tell folks that, or in the future, this cannot be done here, this can be done here, that's.
Yeah, I think we, initial conversations with Sue, kind of high level of what'll be in there. It would be, the specific building type, right? So they know what can or can't be built there. And the stormwater management also be filed with the county, so that's attached to every deed that, someone might purchase. And then anything else that may come up that, through this approval process or review process, that we think should be in there, like, a driveway is mandatory, something like that. All has to comply with building and zoning, but, the understanding that all the basics are in there as approved per this process.
And going back to the previous development, I know that we had that emergency access in and out of there. Is that still a plan for this development?
No, it's just reverted back to a utility easement. I don't think the fire department, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they were fine with the approach and the turnaround at the end.
We can confirm that.
His mathematical thoughts were as long as we had 28-foot radiuses and a 70-foot turnaround, we met New York State Fire Code. So basically, that was out of the 2 meetings that I met with Chief, right, that was the situation. And basically, the 70 feet has now been changed to 78 feet right here. So we actually are 8 feet beyond what we need. And in terms of this stuff here, these are all 28-foot radiuses. This is beyond 28 foot. So we meet the New York State Fire Code. That was basically his main concern.
And I'm just trying to, the old emergency access was planned. Was the issue with that, one of the issues, it didn't line up with another, what's across the street?
It doesn't line up with the one across.
Yeah, that was the biggest concern, that Boulder and that
Boulder's like-
are not
We'd
aligned.
have to put a jog in it to get it to line up, right?
Yeah, and it's not wide enough for us to be able to do that. And the traffic study done and reviewed by Ulster County Planning Board, city engineer. I mean, basically everyone, I think in general, was unanimous that Bluestone is correct.
Yeah, there wasn't enough traffic to even study from this project. We went through that years ago, that the volume, it's not even there to measure.
And Sue, the traffic study that was done with the old project, is John happy with that being put
I
forward?
have not asked him.
Is that something
We
want
can
to
ask
confirm?
him, we can ask him. I think the numbers would probably be about the same for the maximum, the way it's proposed now.
Yeah, that was
If they
probably
were to
more.
Go lower, then it would not be, it'd be a non-issue. So a couple of the points, again, going back
Not
to
right now.
some things that were raised tonight.
Right now,
Ms.
your
Turner
questions.
talked about the buffer, that had been in place and we did have quite the discussion about.
But that was when we were doing an apartment complex.
Right.
So it'd be on every resident to do their own landscaping. So if they wanted to put their own buffer, like I did on Albany Avenue,
Mhm.
you create your own buffer.
Well, I think what she's talking about is the piece, the land that sits between the Fiscal Road and her.
This strip right
So
here.
That strip right there.
She could also plant on her side of the property to. put
I
an
understand
actual
that, I understand that. I'm just asking if there would be any consideration to doing anything along that strip.
Yeah, there's consideration.
Alleviate some of the, I mean, it is going to, be an impact to her. And there's other landscaping that you're putting in the central areas, so if there's, an opportunity there, and what gets put in, if you put in trees or that, and the city adopts that roadway, it becomes part of the city's right of way.
So would the city be required to maintain that?
I mean, they barely maintain Broadway.
It would be
You're gonna
like
worry
any
about-
other city street, it would be, like a sidewalk area, it's the abutting property owner's responsibility.
That was gonna be my question, if we put those in, obviously we have to have some stuff in the catchment areas, but obviously we wanna minimize maintenance
I mean,
because
that's
these are now
something
individual
To
lots.
Yeah.
just think
You know,
about
so-
and talk about.
If the city would take responsibility of those, we don't wanna plant the trees there and they die, because we
Yeah.
don't own that immediate adjacent parcel or something like that.
Right.
But yeah, if that goes with the city, I mean, we can consider that, along with whatever type we do in the center as well. If that
So,
were
I mean, what are some, other board members, I'd like to kind of hear from you, your thoughts on, some of the issues that have been raised.
So 60 cars or 60 vehicles is what we're looking at as the max?
Well, I mean, I don't know the exact number.
This is all
I think that was
speculation. If you
arbitrary.
have a single family home with 2 parents, 2 college kids, they're home from college, they have cars, that's 4 cars. Like, we're speculating here, because it could be a multiplex, could be a duplex, who knows the car count? But
So-
single family homes got the same amount as a duplex.
I think, Stefan, I think the issue is that if, with a walkable neighborhood plan, it becomes the regulating plan for the whole project site, okay? When it's adopted, that is the regulating plan, and it comes with, a series of other considerations. So if the board is to allow for the higher density type of structures on a given percentage, then that is what can get ultimately built on that lot. And so when we are looking at issues such as traffic, we have to consider the maximum amount of potential impact. And that's how those numbers are, calculated out.
Well, how many parking spots do we have for the last project was allocated? Do you remember?
I don't recall
82?
exactly, but I mean, I guess that's why I threw out the option to consider if, a third building type, would you be willing? There's nothing to say you can't put a third building type in here.
Right, it
And
just has to
so
be-
that's, and I understand, like, maybe the larger lot would accommodate a small multiplex. Maybe there is opportunity for that, but they are more standard city size lots, 50 by 100. So perhaps, adding in that third type might, bring it down a little bit, make it a little less dense, make it more accommodating.
Is
It's
the,
something that I thought we would think about.
understood, and I think we can think about that. But is the goal for reducing the density based on parking and or vehicle, amount of vehicles?
Yeah, I mean,
Is that the reason?
obviously, walkable neighborhood is that. I mean, the goal of the city's form-based code is to create more walkability throughout the entire community and, looking at alternative, transportation type of sources other than, all vehicles. And so, this is a development. It is located in, fair close proximity to commercial activities, business centers. So there's an opportunity for people that do reside here that live here to work nearby and walk to work, bike to work. So there's that opportunity. Just trying to make the appropriate adjustments to the development to accommodate that.
Got it. Yeah, I think we can look at that. Just, I want to know if we need to be.
And then
looking-
I know you did submit the stormwater stuff that's being reviewed by the city engineer. And the language that you submitted has been referred to the engineer and corporation council. So there's a lot of other moving parts that are going on.
Yeah, those are drafts, so we welcome any feedback in terms of.
Yeah, right.
A lot of the ambiguity comes from the lack of a parking requirement in the new form-based code. I mean, that's where it all starts, so.
But even though the code does not require off-street parking, the planning board still looks at it and can still require a developer to evaluate what the anticipated needs for parking will be and how it will be accommodated on the site. In some cases, it's mandatory to do that type of demand study. In other cases, it's the prerogative of the board. And that's the decision that they need to make. I don't make that.
And unfortunately, it would be a lot easier if it was spelled out for us right in there.
I would agree.
Yes, along with a few other things.
So when you and I had spoken earlier, you mentioned there's a relatively new DEC regulation regarding wetland identification.
Yeah, there's new wetland regulations that went into effect on January 1st. I know that, I believe Kyla had reached out to you, Luke, in an email about that. And I don't know, have you had an opportunity to have your engineer look at that?
He's looking at it.
He's looking at it,
Yeah.
okay, good.
And there's a stream that used to run through, right? So had been identified in previous
Yeah,
maps.
I believe there was an intermittent stream, running through.
Which may be
So
triggered.
under the new law, being an urban area, there's no acreage requirement. All projects that potentially have or had wet areas need to be evaluated by the DEC for a jurisdictional determination. So that's why we asked we put it out there for them to give their engineer and look at that. So we can tonight, I think, do a couple of things. This does need to get referred to the county planning board because it's proximity to the city line. So that's one thing. Under seeker, this is a type 1 action, not under the New York State Part 617 regs, but the Ulster County Health Department has its own, or the State Health Department has its own set of criteria. And this falls under their regulations as a type 1 action. So because of that, we do need to, we classified it as a type 1 action. We did the circulation to all the involved agencies and nobody had stepped up seeking lead agency status, so I think the board can declare lead agencies tonight.
And we have the resolution too, so.
We do have a draft resolution, yes. There will be a referral to the Parks Department, but I think until maybe we flush a little bit more of the density question out, I don't know that it's appropriate to make that referral just yet.
I'm sure they're aware of this is going on, so.
Any board members have questions or comments, thoughts on any of the topics tonight?
No, just questions. So this was originally proposed as single families, but because of the form-based code, you have to have 2 types of structures. So that's why it's adjusted to this.
They originally had this proposal as a multi-family way back when. And so when the form-based code came into, was adopted, they looked at it and they thought that they wanted to pursue it as a subdivision of individual parcels. Under the form-based code, they can do that. But they are required to look at 2 separate building types. Okay, and have them defined at a minimum of 2, all right?
So just to say, we went with, well, is there a split if you went like the majority of single family? You need 1 duplex or 2 duplexes to
That
satisfy?
is your decision.
So you could do single families and then just throw in duplex and
You
satisfy?
could.
We were told, we were under the impression there had to be some balance, and that was based on.
Yeah, I mean, I would
I just didn't
recommend
know what the
more of a
threshold-
balance. I mean, the code obviously has another objective to create, more housing, so I think more of a balance, not 14
And
of this
also-
and 1 of that. I don't know that meets the intent of the code, but I think it's this board's, this board needs to think about it and, come to a conclusion as to what you feel is the correct balance of building types.
But I guess my question is, even if you determine that you can do 3 building types, a single family, a duplex, and a small multiplex, if you're selling them off in piecemeal, lot by lot, and your deed restrictions are you can only have these 3 types of housings, say you already have 8 single, small multiplexes. So what do you tell the 9th person that, oh, sorry, you can't do a small multiplex?
No, we have to designate
Each
the
parcel
lot.
is designated.
Already.
As a specific,
So if somebody was gonna buy
Okay.
that, it's already only allowed
So
to.
then
to be that,
a
Then we're
single-
pigeonholed, say somebody
Right.
wants to do a
So that's how we
3
control
unit.
it.
right, that's what I'm saying, but you could sell, but, right, it just, the whole, I guess because it hurts my brain because there's no rhyme or reason, there's
That's
no,
why we had
I'm
to
selling them off
designate-
piece by piece and letting one person decide what they wanna build there.
They can't decide. That's why we had to, and that took us a while to figure
That
out.
was kind of my question
It's a
before.
regulating plan.
We can't, they can't.
So you
we-
basically, like, lot 15
We're
has to be a
choosing it
single family
now,
home, lot 12 has to be a.
arbitrarily, and that is, that, if we market it, it's gonna be marketed as a lot that allows a duplex. They can't go more than
And
that.
you might find
Then they go
somebody who
to-
needs to supplement income to pay for the construction of a new house, so they have a tenant.
Can they go lower?
They
but not
They
can-
can go
higher?
lower, but they can't go higher.
So you could market it as a duplex or a single family
Yes.
home, but they couldn't go any higher.
And then they fall to, on one of these sheets here, we have, this is the example from the code. So it's actually laid out exactly what, we could put a corner
You could put
store.
a corner store in a T3. I'm
Um,
not saying you're going to, but you could.
But also each of the building types, the sheets are in here from the code as well. So if you look at single family home, it tells you the allowed uses and everything that you can do.
Right.
Duplex, the allowed uses and everything you can do. Each one of those has a separate sheet of code that says exactly what's allowed. So it's not first come, first served, chooses what. And Matt, I want to answer your question about the single family home thing, just to close the loop. We didn't formally get to a proposal on all single family homes because of the zoning. So we initiated a rezoning application and then walked it back as everybody was kind of learning the new code and realized that the appropriate prescription here was the walkable neighborhood plan in order to subdivide the lands.
So, but then also that comes back to what Sue's saying. So this is all split up. Now they're individual lots, they're sold off. It's going to be an HOA too.
There's a management plan that is in review by the engineer. It's in draft form that will go with the lots. So
Similar to Bluestone.
similar to, yeah, private HOA or road maintenance agreement or something like that.
Okay. Any other questions?
No, I think what we will do though is we'll share our notes with you. Obviously, they don't address this layout. We'll work to schedule a meeting with the fire chief, engineering, building department, you guys, to talk about this new road plan. Anything else from board members? I think we've given you some food for thought.
Yeah, and this is in progress, so our hope is by the end of this month, maybe we can have a formal revision that'll address, it'll double check all the calculations here, address the open space, and then we can meet on that side.
So the public hearing is not closed. It will continue to next month.
So you'll have your question, you can have more
But
questions. right, next
certainly, and written comments can still be submitted as well.
Okay, so we will refer this to the county planning board tonight, and also we're gonna lead agency. Knew I should have brought one. Knew I should have brought one. Okay, resolution of the City of Kingston Planning Board with regard to designation of lead agency for number 21 Bluestone Court, section block and lot 56.88-4-7 in the secret process under 6 NYCRR Part 617. Whereas SSLI Holdings LLC, the applicant, has submitted a completed Part 1 of the full environmental assessment form to the City of Kingston Planning Board to subdivide a 2.698 acre parcel into 15 residential lots for purposes of creating a walkable neighborhood plan as defined under the City of Kingston Form-Based Code, Section 405.25. Large site standards, which is the action. And whereas the project is located at 21 Bluestone Court, Kingston, New York, section block and lot 56.88-4-7. And whereas although the application is considered a listed action under 6 NYCRR Part 617, which is New York State Department of Environmental Conservation seeker, it is recognized as a type 1 action by the Ulster County Department of Health per the New York State Department of Health criteria, and therefore must be treated as such. And whereas the designation of a lead agency and a determination of the significance of the action on the environment must be made in order to comply with the New York State Environmental Conservation Law, the SEEKR Act, and the regulations promulgated there under, which are the regulations, by the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation. And whereas the planning board by resolution adopted on October 21st, 2024, declaring intent to seek lead agency and directed planning staff to circulate the request to all involved and interested agencies. And whereas on October 22nd, 2024, notice was emailed/mailed to all identified involved and interested agencies with no objections were received, and the 30-day time period has expired. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the City of Kingston Planning Board as follows. Section 1, that pursuant to 6 NYCRR Part 617, the City of Kingston Planning Board hereby affirms its role as lead agency in the seeker environmental review of the action as described above. And Section 2, that all identified involved agencies will be notified of the Kingston Planning Board decisions as lead agency. In Section 3, that this resolution shall take effect immediately. This time, I'll make a motion that we adopt this resolution. Do I have a second? Matt Gillis with a second. Wayne Platt is a yes. Charles Palaco,
Yes.
Matt Gillis,
Yes.
Vince Archer,
Yes.
Sage Newkirk.
Yes.
This is adopted. All right, so, this is a work in progress, right? This is, like I said, we're gonna keep the public. All right, well, David mentioned that. I'm here. I didn't do anything to table yet,
Okay.
so I'm just, this is the preamble of the table. So, I just lost my train of thought. No, we'll have a lot, I'm sure we'll have lots of comments from the public on this, as well as questions from the board members itself. We look forward to working with you again, and I guess we'll see you next one. So at this time, I will make a motion to refer item number 11 to the Ulster County Planning Board and to table. A second on that. Second by Sage Newkirk. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you, folks.
So would you like to meet prior to next meeting?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Any other business before the body?
Just recognize.
Oh, number 12?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did have under new business, item number 12, 75 Henry Street, which is a site plan major waiver to construct 2 detached ADUs on a property containing an existing duplex. Secret determination, section block 56.109-1-34, Transect Zone T4N, Ward 4, LSID Real Estate LLC is the applicant owner. The applicant has withdrawn the application for item number 12.
Yeah.
I make a motion that we recognize that the application has been withdrawn. Second by Matt Gillis. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. All right. Sage Newkirk with a motion to adjourn. Vince Archer with a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you, everybody.
I know, right? I wanted to stay, but thinking I might go adjourn.